1,500 years ago, almost everyone on Earth was certain of one thing: the ground beneath your feet does not move. It cannot. You can feel that it's still. The sun rises, crosses the sky, and sets. The stars wheel overhead through the night. Obviously, they are moving, and we are standing still at the center of it all. It was the most common-sense belief in the world, and nearly every civilization held it. But in a city on the banks of the Ganga, a young man looked up at the same sky and came to the opposite conclusion. He said, "The heavens are not moving, we are." His name was Aryabhata, and he wrote it down when he was just 23 years old. Let me show you how far ahead of his time he really was. Around the year 499, in Kusumapura, near modern Patna, in the heart of the Gupta Empire, Aryabhata composed a slim book of verses called the Aryabhatiya. It was tiny, barely over 100 lines, but packed into those verses was some of the most advanced science anywhere on the planet. And the boldest idea in it was this: the Earth spins. Aryabhata argued that the daily journey of the stars across the sky is an illusion. The stars aren't racing around us. The Earth is turning on its axis once a day, and we are the ones moving. And he explained it with an image so clear it still works today. Imagine you're in a boat drifting downstream. You look at the shore, and the trees, the rocks, the banks all seem to glide backward, past you. But the shore isn't moving. You are. In the same way, Aryabhata said, the stars only appear to move west because the Earth beneath us is quietly turning east. Sit with that. 1,500 years ago, 1,000 years before Copernicus and Galileo would be persecuted in Europe for shaking the Earth loose from the center of creation, a young man in India had already set it spinning, calmly, in a few lines of Sanskrit verse. And he didn't stop there. In his time, eclipses were terrifying and explained by myth. When the sun or moon darkened, it was said a demon, Rahu, was swallowing it. People prayed and beat drums to drive the demon away. Aryabhata said no. An eclipse is not a demon, it is a shadow. The moon, he explained, has no light of its own. It shines by reflecting the sun. And when the Earth's shadow falls across the moon, or the moon passes between us and the sun, that is all an eclipse is: light and shadow and geometry. He stripped the terror out of the sky and replaced it with mathematics. And his numbers, this is the part that gives you chills, were almost impossibly good. He calculated the length of the year to within a few minutes of the true value. His figure for how long the Earth takes to spin once against the stars lands within seconds of what our atomic clocks measure today. He approximated pi as 3.1416, accurate to a degree the rest of the world wouldn't match for nearly 1,000 years. And he built the first tables of signs, laying a foundation stone of trigonometry itself. All of this with no telescope, no modern instruments, just observation, reason, and a mind reaching far past his century. Now, here's where we stay honest, because the truth doesn't need exaggeration. You'll sometimes hear that Aryabhata discovered that the Earth orbits the sun, full heliocentrism, centuries before Copernicus. The careful answer is, that part is debated by historians, and the evidence isn't certain. So let's not overclaim it. But we don't need to. What is certain is astonishing enough. He knew the Earth spins. He knew the moon shines by borrowed light. He knew eclipses were shadows, not demons. He measured the year and the day with breathtaking accuracy. Those aren't legends. Those are in the text, in his own words, and they were right. And his ideas didn't stay in India. Centuries later, his work was carried west, translated by scholars of the Islamic Golden Age, studied by names like al-Khwarizmi and al-Biruni, and woven into the river of knowledge that eventually flowed into Europe. The science that the modern world calls its own has, running quietly through it, the thinking of a 23-year-old on the banks of the Ganga. We tend to imagine that real science began in Renaissance Europe, that everything before was darkness and superstition. But 1,500 years ago, a young man looked at a sky that everyone knew was turning around them and had the courage to say, "No, it's us. We're the ones moving." He was right, and he was 1,000 years early. That is the quiet power of Aryabhata. Not a myth, not a legend, a man, a sky, and a truth he saw long before the rest of the world was ready to look.